Lee, do you agree with what Igal's saying here? Actually, the underlying metrics of Arsenal have been pretty good in the beginning of the season, and there isn't much difference between this season and last year. Like, do you agree with that?
Nope. Sorry, mate, but no. I have eyes. I don't need XG, which is just some made-up stat. Oh, but we had more XG against Fulham this year than we did last year. Yeah, last year we got 3 points. This year we got 1. It's the only stat that matters. Yeah. No, well, but Fulham had less XG this year than last. Like, turn it in. Yeah. The Man City fans post this crap out. Yeah, because I don't ever see any Man City fan on social media talking about XG, top 4, phases, stages, dogs, and all of this rubbish. The fact is, we have not been good, mate. Right? And if that Nottingham Forest game went for another 10 minutes, that ends in a draw. Yeah, they brought on their 2 players, Elanga, and I can't pronounce the fella's name up front.
I wouldn't.
Big up, my guy. Thank you. But yeah, they brought them 2 on, and they caused us all sorts of problems. Yeah, the Palace game got out of there with a penalty. Yes, we won the penalty, cool. But on another day, that penalty don't get given because Thomas Partey infringes the centre-back. Yeah, on another day, Eze gets a penalty. You know, on another day, and I know I'm talking about another day, but these days will happen. On another day, the striker puts that free header that he had in the back of the net. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, this manager, he's contemplated leaving. Well, he probably should have, because this year he is leaving. Whether he leaves on his own accord or whether he gets sacked. Because I'm telling you now, the way we're playing at the moment, the way he looks so rattled so far this season, the fact that everyone's waffling about, oh, I'd rather do these changes at the beginning and experiment at the beginning. Well, ain't that what pre-season and training's for? Yeah, yes, Timber is a big miss. Of course he is. So why'd you let Tierney leave then? Right, and if you actually deep it, right, we let Xhaka leave for Declan Rice. I like Declan Rice. I'm happy with that signing. But some people will debate that Xhaka is better than Rice. Is Declan Rice going to get 14 GA for all you statisticians and mathematicians out there that watch a game on a calculator? Like, no, probably not. So, therefore, we now need to get the strikers and the attacking players scoring more. Martin Odegaard's barely creating anything compared to what he was doing last season. Yeah, in terms of how we're looking, he's hardly touching the ball in comparison. We've got Kai Havertz, who is the only extra body in that squad, because Timber came in, Tierney's gone. Xhaka's gone, we've got Rice in. So that's 2 out, 2 in. The goalkeeper's left Turner, we've got another goalkeeper in. Yes, Miles better. But you could make a case that out of the 4 signings we've made, 3 have replaced 3 players that have gone. And the only one that's genuinely an upgrade that you could, there's no debate on it, is the goalkeeper. So we've got 1 extra body in that squad, and that's Kai Havertz, who's walking around looking like he sleeps in a coffin and wants to be anywhere other than the pitch. And then you look at the bench is the same. Bro, I swear, these fans are in for a rude awakening this season. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm sat here at the end of the season going, do you know what? He won the title. Fair play. But I agree with every Man City fan that I've heard speak about this, yeah? Every single one of them has said they're getting 90-plus points this season. When you look at last season, they finished on 89 points. And everyone's like, oh, but they're the best team in the world. Well, so were Man United. Wenger nicked 3 titles off them. Find a way. Yeah, Man United won a treble. Man United were the best team in the world back then. Man United had a bigger budget. Man United had a better squad. Yeah. Man United could go and poach any player on the planet they wanted. Yeah, we had to do it a different way. With this manager, he is so badly trying to be Pep, it is mad. Yeah, get rid of him. Go and get me another manager. We're wasting time. We've already wasted 4 calendar years by December. And there's still no pressure on this guy to win anything. It is baffling. Name another manager who his first job, he takes a big, massive football club as his first job, never managed, 650 million deep, and there's no pressure. It's baffling.
When you say there's no pressure,
there's been pressure. There's been pressure on Arteta from season 1, bro. Let's be honest. He came into one of the most toxic jobs where he had a team that was an absolute mess. He won a trophy with them. They
weren't that much of a mess then, were they? Because they beat the champions and they beat Chelsea. So they couldn't have been that much of toxic and negative, could they?
Bro, we were an absolute mess. And you can tell by the players that we had and the personnel that we had at that time. If you want, you can just go through the list of players.
Yeah, you won the FA Cup with that team, bro. Stop.
Guess what?
Exactly. And again, sorry to cut you off. Sorry to cut you off. How many of that squad are still there? How many of that squad are still there? And what has he won since?
Bro, the only person left from the squad that Arsene Wenger left is what do you call it? El Neni. Now, if you want to talk about the people
Reece
who are
Nelson,
left,
Eddie
if you want to talk about the people from when Unai Emery left, that's a different story. Of course, some of the younger players are going to still be around, but the starters, the only Bukayo Saka is the only starter that's still from the team that.
Okay, so what you're saying is you agree with me that he signed all of these players and won nothing since.
Guess what?
In fact, Martinelli was signed under Unai Emery. Saliba was signed under Unai Emery.
What's your point?
I was at Eddie Nketiah's debut when he scored twice against Norwich. Yeah, that's a Wenger player.
What's your point? Bringing up these guys. You're moving the argument now.
I'm not moving the argument. You said that look at the toxic squad that he inherited, and there's nobody left from the Wenger days other than one player. Well, that's factually incorrect.
No,
then you said about
pressure. The point was about pressure. The reason why he had pressure is because he came into an unhealthy environment. There was a situation where we had players that didn't suit the system. We had so many different players go around there, and what he did was he got rid of some of the dead players. He got rid of some of the players that were game time. And when he finally started to see good performances, and he has a team full of players that he trusts. Look, we're in a title challenge. It's not a coincidence.
I'll ask you a question, Miguel. Just straight answer, yeah. What have we won since he's got rid of all of them players?
What?
What have we won since he got rid of all of them players that won him a trophy?
Bro, we haven't won anything, but that's not the point.
Thank you. There we go. Case closed. Case closed.
That's not the point, though. That's not the point. The point is not about
the games to win.
But this is what you keep doing. You keep going back to Arteta.
Keep going back to the aim of the game.
You keep going back to Arteta this, Arteta that. You belittle the one trophy he won, and then after that, when I tell you the team progressing,
don't say that to me ever again, mate. Yeah, right. Real talk. Belittle it. I've been to FA Cup finals, mate.
Bro,
yeah. You ever say I belittle the FA Cup? Go and watch my watch along and go and tell me I belittle.
You just literally asked me what has he won. You just literally asked me what has he won since he got the team.
I'm not belittling it. I'm saying
like, forget about that. You say forget about that. And then look, last year, Lee. This is the funny thing about you, Lee. Because last year you were saying before the season started, if Mikel Arteta gets into a title challenge, and I actually have the clip and I can play it for you if you want. You verbatim said, you know what, I'll do that.
I don't care if you play the clip. I know exactly what I've said on every single stream I've ever been on in my life, mate. I know exactly what you said.
Are you going to let me play it?
If we get within 6 points...
Guys, let me interject. Go on, play the clip, please. And
this is my point. Lee, you say you keep your standards at one level, but you consistently change your standard to fit your narrative. So listen to this. At the beginning of last season, you said we weren't going to get top 4. And on top of that, you said if Mikel Arteta challenges for majority of the season, guess what? I'm actually going to back him. You know what? You did for a couple weeks. And then immediately when you had the opportunity to flip, you did. And this is why I'm playing this. Listen.
Even if we don't win the league, we're there till the death.
Yeah? Put it near your microphone.
5 points or 4 points or something. I'll be happy with that. And I'll say, yo, fair play to Arteta, fair play to the football club. Let's go for next season. I can see us finishing 5th. I said 5th at the start. I'm going to stick with that for now. Yeah, we're going to have a big capitulation at some point.
Listen, you were right about the capitulation.
Did you hear the last part?
But you were right about the capitulation. But you did say you're going to back Arteta. One second.
He said the capitulation.
You did say you're going to back Arteta and you're going to say, let's go again next season. Because you predicted we're going to fall off. So everything you wanted happened, but yet you're still sitting here upset and angry. Why?
No, do you know what? No, hold on a second. Yeah. I'm not upset and angry at all. I just know what the aim of the game is. The aim of the game is not to chat waffle about XG stats, mate. The aim is to win titles.
You said Odegaard wasn't going to score 15 goals. He scored 15 goals, got 7 assists last year. What about that?
Have you ever made a prediction that has never come true?
Hey, so don't get on my predictions then.
Hey, at the end of the day, right, this football club has been a disgrace for 20 years since this lot behind me won a title. Yeah, that I was happy to be there and witness.
Go back to 10 years ago. Irrelevant at this point.
No, I don't care. What I'm saying is, the last time we were any good, this lot won a title. And all we've had since then is BS and rubbish and odd FA Cup here and there, yeah? My point is, there was no pressure on this guy from the board, from the hierarchy, from the ownership, and from the fan base. Because guess what? Adele sat there and said about title, we were in a title charge since he got rid of the Deadwood. Well, the Deadwood won us the cup, my friend. I'll take a cup over a title challenge.
Listen, you were not saying this last year. This is why I say you're not consistent. You literally in this thing that I just quoted, you said, I will take a title challenge. You were literally begging for a title challenge. You were literally begging for a title challenge last year. Now you're saying, I don't want a title challenge. I want to win it. Guess what? Everybody wants to win it. Everybody wants to win it. Everyone wants to beat City. Everyone wants to win the league. But the reality is, Lee, your expectations are not reality. The reality of the situation is you expected a shit team to win the league. You expect a good team to win the league. And guess what? Either way, you're going to be upset. The reality is there's going to be a building block.
One second ago. Yeah. You said my expectations are unrealistic. And you also said just before that, everyone wants to win the league. They don't. Because Man United ain't done enough to do what is required. Arsenal are 4 players short. Yeah, we need a centre-back. We need a CM stroke DM. Yeah, we need a right winger and we need a striker. If we don't get all 4 of them by midnight, we're finished.
Guess what?
So, hang on. Your expectations in your head may be to win the league. But Arsenal's expectations are to get the top 4, the same as Man United to get the top 4. The only serious club in that league is Man City, which again, they've gone out after being champions and replaced 3 players with 4. Yeah, and them 4 players are all decent players. So hang on a minute, we've replaced 3 players with 4. One of them is now injured, called us unlucky, he looked tidy. One of them, we've taken off for Chelsea, he's our 3rd ever highest record signing. Yeah, I want to see the same energy for him that we gave Nicola Pepe. Yeah, we ain't winning nothing.
He's getting worse than Nicolas Pepe. By the way, on top of that, you always get onto the fans about standards, pressure. Bro, you are the definition of fans putting pressure on the manager. You're saying he has no pressure. You've been putting pressure on him before he even got hired.
And every time I speak, I get people like you cut me off and shut me down, and you're negative, you're toxic, you're this, you're that.
I don't care. I don't care about other fans. The problem with you is you care more about what other fans think than what's actually happening on the football pitch. You care more about yelling about instead of yelling about rivals, you yell about our own fans more than anybody else. Yep. You want to know why? Because you're upset at them. The reality is you're not upset at them. You're upset that the club is not delivering. And you know what? They're not delivering to your unrealistic expectations. That's the reality.
3rd biggest club in the country. 3rd biggest club in the country. One of the biggest incomes in world football. And I've got unrealistic expectations for them to actually do what they knocked a stadium down for. You're waffling. Not only that, I do have a go at this fan base, Agal. I do have a go because there's millions of them that have infested my football club, and lowered it to its longest trophy drought in its history. 29 years without a European trophy and the longest trophy drought. Yeah, longest trophy drought for a decade. And they're all jumping around like it's great that we've signed Kai Havertz. Do me a favor.
Let me say one thing to dead this whole conversation. Let me say one thing. When they tell you you're go support Spurs, what do you say? Why are you saying that to me? So why are you getting onto them?
Excuse me, say that again.
Listen, every time someone says to you, go support Spurs because you're a Spurs fan, you get angry, you get offended. One second, I let you land, bro. Every time you get onto the fan base, the side of fan base that I'm on, that's positive or at least somewhat optimistic, and even level-headed fans that you got onto, what do they say to you? Oh, you're not an Arsenal fan. And what do you say? You take offense to it. I'm not saying that to you. All I'm saying is, why do you go and criticize them? Why do you go criticize them? And when they, one second, why do you go criticize people who call you a Spurs fan? And then when you criticize them, it's okay, bro. Keep it consistent. Once again, you're not consistent, bro.
Miguel, I couldn't care less if people call me a Spurs fan. I've heard it a billion times. It's the only excuse.
Bro,
and these people come out with factual information.
I'm calling other people out if you can't hack it.
I'm calling my club out, and I'll get millions of people.
Fan base out. You're not calling the club out.
If you listen to what I'm saying, I call this club out every single day, and I will do until it acts like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, who it's smashed that stadium down for. To be like. And if people have got an issue with it, I don't care. Because I'm not.
You have an issue with people.
But if people want to know, listen to what I'm saying. If people want to come for me every day, which they do, I don't have to come on it. I was chilling all day. I could be out partying. I could go. I'm not doing anything all day. I'm sat home alone. Cool. I'll go to the pub and meet my mates. Yeah, I don't have to be sat here. Yeah, I'm sat here because Terry's got a big audience. He's invited me on. Yeah, and it might wake up another 5 or 6 people. Yeah, I get over 1 million views on my channel every month, and the second one gets over 250,000. So hold on a second. Yeah, hold on. My point is, I call the club out, and if you go and read them comments every day, every single good day, I've got people going, "You're a Spurs fan. You're toxic. You're negative." I don't get irate over it. But when I call people like you out that want to lower the standards of the football club, the same as these others, you lot all get in your feelings and start waffling about XG. Come on.
You get in your feelings and you start talking about them calling you a Spurs fan every day. In the last 2 years, you've called out AFTV, you've called out every single individual on there. You call out Rory, you call out everyone on Twitter. You're consistently calling out our fans. You're not calling out the club, bro. Half the time you're talking about football, half the time you're talking about our fan base.
Oh, so half the time I'm talking about fans. Yeah, do you know why? Because this fan base are a disgrace. The same as Man United's fan base, the same as Tottenham's fan base. Yeah, Man United are a bigger football club than Arsenal will ever be. Right, but I'll tell you something now. That club's more buried than Arsenal. because they've got more fans than us that have lowered the standards into the longest trophy drought for 40 odd years until recently, last season. Yeah. And the thing that winds me up is if fans use their power online, yeah, instead of all the people you've just named, instead of trying to get the red carpet or trying to get in with the club to get the interview or trying to get the press conference or, oh, I've got so-and-so coming on the channel, yeah, or getting a VIP pass or writing for Football London, maybe, just maybe, this football club might actually act like it should do. That's why I call them out.
The club just was in a title challenge. They just signed a £100 million player. We did have a protest for COVID.
Mate.
One second. We did have a protest during COVID. And what did they do? They started fixing up. They started acting like a right club. We're now challenging. We just came off a challenge for the league. We're back in the Champions League. We're signing big names. We're improving our squad. And you're still not happy.
We want to know because you're so pro Arteta. At which point do you sack Arteta? Because this is the point here. You're going to keep saying trust in the process. For how much longer are you going to trust in the process? Because this team,
once there's no adequate improvement,
you've invested to win a league. You haven't invested this much money to win a FA Cup. You haven't invested this much money to win a Europa League. You've invested to win one of the biggest trophies of them all, which is the league or the Champions League. How long are you going to give Arteta to do that?
Bro, the honest reality, I'm willing to give Arteta time because I see adequate progress every year. Now, if I start to see a decline, then we can have a conversation about Arteta getting sacked. But going from eighth
how can you progress from last
challenging
season?
for the league this season, if we go again and compete for the league, and we go in the Champions League and we compete on all fronts and we can pick up a trophy, that is an improvement. Even if we don't win the Champions League or league, that's still an improvement from last year if we can pick up a domestic trophy and compete on all competitions. Because last year, we didn't compete on all competitions. There's room for improvement every single year. Once we regress, we can have a conversation about potentially sacking the manager. But it doesn't always have to be
you don't have to wait to regrets. This is such insanity to say that.